Well, welcome back to Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self Care for Women of Color podcast with your host, Dr. Toni G. Alvarado. I am glad to have you back with us this week for another intriguing podcast conversation. And we're going to continue closing out the year 2022. This is season 8, the month of November, and this is our third episode of the podcast for this year. I'm so excited about all the conversations that we have had all year long. Actually, I'm excited about all the conversations we have had since the inception of this podcast in 2020. March 2nd, 2020 was our first podcast conversation. And so we moved from being just audio to being video and audio later on that month. So you can find this podcast on Google Podcasts, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Anchor, which is our host. Anchor is our host. And then you can also find us on my YouTube channel at Dr. Toni G. Alvarado. So, whatever way you have been engaging in this podcast, I want to thank you for your support over these 2.5, three, coming into our ending up our third year of recordings. Yeah, because we recorded in 2020, all 2020, all of 2021, and now all of 2022. So we're finishing up strong this year. And I'm excited about our conversation on today because the young lady that's going to be with us today is a very intriguing, smart, intelligent, creative young woman. And actually, she is the youngest woman to have that we have had conversations with on the podcast heretofore. And so I'm excited to talk with her today because we'll be talking about mental health matters for young adult women. And so she's doing some wonderful work in the area of counseling and coaching. And so we want to hear from some of our younger women and what they think about self-care, health and wellness and mental health matters for their generation. And so we'll be right back with our next guest right after this. Well, I am so again excited about you being here today. And I'm super excited about my guest on today. Our guest today is a young woman who is very near and dear to my heart. She's a spiritual daughter. Her family, she and her family are members. Her parents are members of our local church, and our families are friends. She and my son and my daughter-in-law are good friends, and my daughter. And so I'm so excited to have her in the podcast studio with me, and that is in the person of none other than Miss Alexis Gilmer. I want to give you a little bit of information about Alexis, share a little bit of her bio, and then we'll get into our conversation. So, Alexis says on her website at alexisgilmer.com, my goal is to help you reach the potential you are designed for. By working together, we will identify an approach to help you transform mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. It's my purpose to help you reach yours. As a professionally certified Christian life coach and bachelor's degree with a bachelor's degree in psychology from Spelman College, Alexis possessed the tools and approaches necessary to help you design the life you imagine and to become a renewed version of yourself. She says making the changes necessary in your life is hard. And we know that. We've talked about that on this podcast. It takes commitment, it takes discipline, and it takes support. I love that, Alexis. I often say when we're making changes in our life, we need support, right? We
Yeah.
need support. And she says, my commitment, Alexis is committed to walking alongside her clients and to take them each step to help them make each step forward in their life. So, will you help me welcome our guest today, Miss Alexis Gilmer. Welcome, Alexis.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being available. I know you're very busy, so I was glad to get on your schedule.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, yes, yes. So let me see. You're not a are you a Gen Z or
I am right on the cusp. I'm literally the very last year of millennial, like the beginning of Gen Z.
Gen Z? So you right there. You and Jonathan are
Yeah.
right there. So you're Gen Z millennial kind
Yeah.
of thing. Okay, good.
Zillennial, if you will. I just say zillennial. But the
Zillennial. Okay, that's a new term. I like that.
yeah.
Zillennial. Wow, that's cool. All right. So I am so glad to have you. And as I stated in my introduction today, as I was coming on and speaking to our audience, Alexis, you are the youngest woman that we have had conversations with on the
Oh,
podcast.
yay.
So you hold a distinctive honor as the youngest woman. We've had women, of course, the average woman that's a part of our self care network, and these conversations are probably 40 and up.
Hmm.
And many of us are mothers and wives and pastors and professional women in our careers. And a lot of us have struggled when we were your age. We probably didn't do the things that we needed to do. And so I applaud you for at your age. You're 25,
Yes.
25, soon to be 26. I know that.
Hmm.
So when I was 25, going on 26, I was nowhere near as consciously, or as y'all call it, woke, as it concerns mental health, as it concerns self care, health, and wellness. I wasn't. And so because of that, and I'm sure a lot of the women who are listening to our podcast today would be honest and say, because we did not take care of some of those things in our younger years, then we had to do more corrective work
Hmm.
in our later years, and we had to make major radical changes in our lifestyle in order to be healthy and whole.
Hmm.
And so, and when I was coming along, I'm almost 60. And so when we came up, you didn't talk about mental health issues. We knew that people had mental health issues, but it was shh, hush. We don't talk about those things and secrets. And it was very taboo, especially in communities of color, particularly African American families, and even in the African American church. We just did not discuss those issues, those matters. And
Hmm.
so I'm grateful to have young women like you who are having those conversations, and not only having them, but now have dedicated your life's work to this whole mental health matters.
Yeah.
And so thank you. So share some of your about your journey, what your journey in mental health and counseling,
Yeah.
and what motivated you to work in this field.
Yeah. I say my journey really began in high school. I didn't really know much about it, but I did take a class in psychology and I just fell in love with the human mind and all the moving parts and how it affects how we interact with others. So that's what made me major in psychology at Spelman. And so while I'm thinking it's all about the brain, I think my life experiences combined with what I was learning in the classroom really opened my eyes to what mental health was and how important it is to take care of yourself. And I thought, this is something that I want to help others realize as well. So I went on to pursue a master's program at Wake Forest University in clinical mental health counseling. I also became a certified Christian life coach. And I'm also working right now as a counselor in training because I just feel as though we as women, we as Black women, really need to learn how to take care of ourselves before we take care of others. Never pouring from an empty cup because I know that's what we like to do, just pour, 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 and pour. So I really just want to help others learn how to fill their cup first.
Yeah. And that's one of my themes, that because it's,
Mhm.
me as your pastor, and I'm very serious about my own mental health. I'm very serious about my own health and wellness and taking care of myself, my fitness and my nutrition, rest, all those things. And even play and how that important that is. I'm reading a book now on the benefits of play
Oh,
and
wow.
how that um impacts us. And so yeah, and I'm just so glad to know that your age group, you all seem to be more, y'all have, like, my daughter is seeing a therapist. She wanted to get into grief counseling after losing my mom, and then Mother Alvarado this year, my
Mhm.
mom last year. And she was like, "Ma, I just feel like I never." So, well, talk to somebody. So she's in therapy now. And my son Jonathan, has been in therapy. And even as a family over the years, because of our as a family, we've had family counseling
Mhm.
because of the trauma that we experienced as a family, with Joshua being, our middle son, being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So our children and our family was we our children grew up understanding the importance of mental health because of what we had to deal with
Yeah.
having a child with a mental health diagnosis, and the things that we had to do for him, and the things that we had to do as a family to make sure that
Mhm.
we could
Sure, yeah.
support him and take care of our own mental health while we take care and address his needs.
Mhm.
So I'm just so grateful that your age group is is picking that up. What do you think is some of the what are the stigmas around mental health matters that we've had as a general? I mean, what are there any stigmas for your generation? You all seem to be more open than my generation was at your age.
Yeah.
What are the differences? Do you have any stigmas, or
Yeah.
can you compare maybe what you know of some of the stigmas from my generation compared to yours?
I think that there are stigmas because this is a recent conversation.
Okay.
While it's been in our generation, it's like we have so much to go back against. It's like that's been happening for years. And so 5 years of it being in the world and it being seen as okay, I don't know if that tears down all of the barriers that have been built up for so long.
Okay.
So while the conversation is happening, it's important for us to think about what's the content of those conversations. So
Okay.
yeah, we're talking about it, but still it's like, oh, I don't need that. That's just if you're really depressed, or that's just if you're suicidal. That doesn't apply to me. So
Oh,
we're willing to know that it's important, but I don't know if we're quite at the point where everyone needs it or I can benefit from it too. It's kind of like, I'm okay, I don't need that kind of thing, if that makes sense.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to progress in the conversation.
And making sure that it's an inclusive conversation and that you don't need a diagnosis to
Mhm.
benefit from therapy, from counseling. It's more about, honestly, life is hard. I was just telling my friend about that. I was like, life is hard
It is.
and getting help is necessary. We as humans flourish in fellowship, we flourish in support. And so sometimes your support circle can't give you the help that you need. And so just think about your therapist or your counselor as just someone that has like a friend with expertise, if you will.
Okay.
It's kind of how I like to think about it.
Wow. That's good. So if we can think about our therapist as just another person that we talk to, another,
Good.
like we talk to our friends or family members, we can think of our therapist in that way. And I think it's good that you're saying that, because I know, you know, it was when I was your age at 25, I moved to Atlanta
Hmm.
by myself. And I came here just because I was looking for just finding myself. I hadn't gone, I had dropped out of college. So I
Hmm.
had completed my undergraduate work. And I had gone through some really, really bad relationships, one in particular. And so when I came to Atlanta, I was pretty broken emotionally. And I probably was broken mentally too, just didn't know how to,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
didn't have the words, language for that. But Um, when I think about what it took for me to gather myself, if you will, and move myself in a health into a more healthy space. It was a lot. It was a lot back then. So I can't imagine what it's taking for you all. Even though you all have more, you like my son Jonathan recently, they just bought a house and
Mhm.
um he just started his career as a school teacher. And so one day I sent him a text about something, and he was like, "Ma, this adulting thing is a lot. I'm trying to, And so
Mhm.
in some ways, I don't know if we did you all a disservice by giving y'all so much or making sure y'all had more than what we had. But I mean, it's a lot. So what are some of the issues? What are some of the things? And you said life is hard. And
Mhm.
for a young adult woman today, what are some of the things that you're or issues,
Yeah,
circumstances that you all are having to address that's impacting your mental health and your self-care?
yeah, I think life transitions. So like similar to what you shared, we are in the emerging adulthood. I don't know if you are familiar with that term. We have like toddlers, we have kids, we have seniors. We're emerging adulthood. It's a new sector of population that came out not too long ago. But it basically says like 18 to like late 20s is you're coming into adulthood. And so that population
Now you
has
do know
unique.
that is so much older than it was with us. So with
Oh,
us, we were adults at 18.
oh yeah.
You all are getting more time to become adults.
Yeah. No, and that's why they created this group. It's like, okay, wait, things are changing now. We used to be 18 years old, you get kicked out the house, you get a job, you're on your own, and now it's like you come back. I mean, I'm 25 and I came back to my parents' house, right? So it's like
Right.
we need to figure out a way to identify this new population, and that's where emerging adulthood came up. And it's these life transitions that we're dealing with. I mean, even in my office, I deal with individuals who are having anxiety and depression because it's like I should be somewhere else. I think social media is a huge piece of it.
Oh,
It's a lot of comparison, right? So I think that when it comes to our parents' generation, you were able to really just focus on what you and yours were doing because that's all you really had access to. But
right.
right now, we're seeing people that are 25, 23, even who are millionaires because they're influencers on social media or because they bought Airbnbs and they have 10 properties to their name or whatever it is. And so now you're comparing yourself thinking that, oh, shoot, I'm behind. Right. And so I
Yeah.
think that pressure, we internalize that and then we feel lost or we feel like we can't do it. And then all those things just stack up against it. So a lot of anxiety, depression, um, adjustment disorder, even, which is like, I think it's about 6 months when you've had like some changes in your life and you're kind of like, you lost your footing a little bit and you don't really know how to adjust to those
And it could
changes.
be good changes, like I was saying with Jonathan and Jazz.
Hmm.
Good change, buying a house, a career, but an adjustment
New.
that
Yeah,
needs. Yes,
it's
I got.
new. Yeah, so I think we really just need to learn how to recognize those signs, right? Because I think even in what you said, sometimes people think like, oh, well, I should be happy about this. I graduated college, I have a new job, but I don't feel right, right? And so then like, oh, something's wrong with me. Or, I just bought a house, I just got married. This should be the best time of my life. Why am I feeling this way, right? So I think just recognizing that it's okay to still feel those feelings, however you want to label it,
Okay.
even when you're in the good part of your life.
Okay. The quote unquote good part,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's good. So you called it adjustment.
Disorder, yeah, it's a DSM-5 diagnosis that basically says like that individual has experienced some life changes, and it's just affecting them mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all experience those adjustment disorders at whatever stage of life we're in.
Hmm.
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 Yeah. Wow. So when it comes to counseling, you said that some the women your age sometimes blow it off because they think, well, I'm okay. I don't really need it. That's for somebody else.
Mhm.
They kind of talk themselves out of it. So how are they coping?
Mm. I I I hear a lot of substance use,
Okay.
um, whether that's like marijuana, like edibles, alcohol, whether that's liquor or like wine. I think a lot of people also disassociate, where they don't even think about it. So they just isolate in their room and they're just mindlessly scrolling on social media, or they binge watch on Netflix. And that's really the brain just saying, like, I can't handle this. And so I'm going to shut down. And so after a long day, you just pull back and disassociate. So a lot of isolation, disassociation, turning to people. I've dealt with some clients who put a lot of their energy into others because they can't handle taking the time to take care of themselves, because then that involves coming to terms with some things that they might not be ready to come to terms with.
Okay.
So they end up focusing outwardly and pouring into external sources. So there's a lot of different coping skills out there that people need, and coping mechanisms that people engage in. But I think I would say substance and kind of ignoring the problem
Okay.
is the biggest.
Okay. And did you see any intensity in that when the pandemic during the pandemic?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the pandemic made us distanced from our social support. And so, unless you made that conscious effort to reach out to your friends or to your family, you were isolated. Or, perhaps you were, picking the health precautions and you wanted to make sure you were safe, like understandable, but you still didn't have that connection. And so I think we spend a lot of times in our mind, right? And so we're just ruminating and thinking on things, and it just brings to surface a lot of different situations. And then also a lot of people lost loved ones during the pandemic,
Mhm.
so now
Right.
that's grief. Or maybe you have anxiety because you don't know if you're going to get sick. And then
Mhm.
let's think about what happened during the pandemic. We had George Floyd, we had Breonna Taylor. So now we're putting gendered racism on top of all of this, right? So it's a combination of issues that you're seeing, that you're hearing. We had January 6th happen as well, kind of during the pandemic. And so it's like you're seeing all this on Instagram, on the news stations, and you're in your home by yourself with no support. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Wow. And and I don't think that we really know yet the impact that it's had on us, adults for sure, and certainly our children. I mean, the fact that many of you all, I know young people who were depressed because their campus closed down. I remember when Ariel, the year in 2020, when the campus closed down, it was her second year at Spelman, and she was heartbroken because she was living on campus and had developed her friend group and all of that. And when she came home, she had to come back home and finish the year at home online,
Yeah.
and she felt so disconnected from the campus. She felt disconnected from the glee club and all of her friends, and she just felt isolated. And I remember one day I was talking to her and she just broke down crying. And I was like, "You okay?" And she's like, "Ma, this is hard. This is hard." And we got through it. We talked through it and all that. But I know of the letdown of graduations being canceled and
Yeah.
proms and things like that canceled. And those are real emotionally beneficial events for us.
We look
Then
forward to them.
yeah, and they do something for our psyche, our
Mhm.
emotions, and it helps us. And so to have that just snatched from you, you've worked out 4 years to graduate and walk across the stage, and now you can't. Or you work hard to get to a college campus, and you only get to spend a few months there before you got to go home. And
Yeah.
is, or your friends and all of that you missing, and then not to mention seeing some of your friends die from COVID or family members,
Yeah.
that in and of itself. So, yeah, so I don't know if we really took into account how our young people have been impacted.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't know when we will, to be honest with you,
okay.
because I think our society is so much hustle culture, go, 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 that if I don't know if you've noticed, but we've kind of just pretended like we didn't have a pandemic and we just keep going. Like
Yeah, yeah.
people just, oh yeah, let's go back. We're vaccinated. Let's just keep going. Let's open up the church. Let's open up the, malls. Let's open up this and that. And we just, there's no like kumbaya session. There's no like, okay, let's think about how we can move forward in this. Like it's just pick up your shoes and start running again. And I'm like, wait, like guys, like we can't do this. And I have conversations with my friends and they're really just like, I'm tired,
Mm,
but like I've been in the house this whole time. I shouldn't be tired. And I'm like, no, you should be tired because while your body was staying still, your mind was going a mile a minute.
wow.
Right. And so it's like we have to make sure that we really are resting, not just sleeping, but resting.
Mm,
And so I think that we might see years down the line some form of like mental exhaustion or, some kind of social disconnect or whatever. I'm not sure, but I think that it's going to take a while for us to see it because we're so
the real
used to
impact.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 So, how important is it for support systems when people are going through mental health issues, or when they're making changes in their life, or how important is support in our mental health and self care?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the biggest things that we evaluate for in the intake process when I have a new client. I deal mostly with right now men and women who are dealing with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation because of trauma or life transitions. And so when I'm evaluating a client, I'm asking who in your family are you close to? What kind of, friends do you have? How long you've been friends with these individuals? Do you live near them? Do they, are they close? Are they different state? Like those details, what we call protective factors. Because we believe that if you have individuals that can support you, you are protected or your protection increases from the negative effects that mental illness can
Wow.
have. So just thinking about that, like legitimately, if you have someone in your home, just by being married and you have a spouse, we rate you less likely, if you will,
Okay.
to not commit suicide or to not have a major depressive episode. Of course, it's possible, but your rate will decrease because you have that support.
Wow.
Um, as opposed to someone else, if we find out that they live alone, all of their families in a different state, they don't have friends, they work from home, they don't have a job office to go to, that's an increased risk in our minds because you're constantly by yourself and you don't have anyone checking in on you or anyone for you to depend on, to call on when you're having those feelings. And so I mean social support it's huge. It literally protects you from the negative effects.
Social support literally protects you from negative effects. That's really good. Because I don't think that we realize how, the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
And that's not, a lot of times we quote that as it relates to marriage,
Hmm.
but I believe that that's such a bigger, the ramifications of that is so much bigger than marriage. I think it's about community, that God did not create us in isolation, that we ought to be in some form of community.
Yeah. And I think that's also why Western society sees different mental health issues than in Eastern cultures.
Okay, talk
Because
about that.
so we have a very individualistic society here in the West Side, if you
Uh-huh,
will,
uh-huh.
in the Americas. And so it's very much you and yours, all
Mhm.
about me, me, me. Whereas if you go to China, South Korea, or India, even, they are all about the family, right?
Boo I am because you are.
Exactly, exactly. And so I think we see more here, a lot more isolation. Naturally, because we are having kids move out the house, right? And there's, dealing with financial issues now because they don't have a stable job and all of those things. But also because we have this sort of, I don't want anybody to know my business type of thing.
Okay,
Um,
that
and
privacy,
yep, that privacy type.
that
So
secrecy.
yeah, and it's like I'm pro community and I'm pro support, but I'm pro real community. And so just because you hang out with people, just because you quote unquote have friends, that doesn't really mean that you have social support. And so making sure that the people that you have around you are people that you can actually share what's going on
This is good.
inside.
This is good, Alexis. Real, genuine community. People
Hmm.
around you where you can share your thoughts, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I just don't feel right. I feel off. I
Hmm.
feel, yeah.
And
And
feeling safe enough to say that, right?
yeah, without being judged,
Mhm.
saying it without feeling like, you're gonna, there's gonna be ramifications on the other side,
Are you gonna
backlash.
think I'm crazy, or you gonna
Yeah,
tell somebody else,
yeah,
or all
yeah,
of that, yeah.
yeah. That's good. Good. Girl, I mean, you're gonna make you. I know you said you're counseling training, but you're gonna make a great counselor. That's
Thank
absolutely.
you.
So what are your plans beyond? You've finished your master's degree, right?
No, I will next year.
Next year you'll
Mhm.
be done with the master's degree, and then do you have what's the next step for your counseling?
I'm hoping to open my own practice, eventually, and do like a coaching counseling combination, so I can help people on both sides, because coaching is different than counseling.
Yeah,
But I want to make sure that everyone gets the tailored help that they need. So I hope to have a practice where people can come to me for whatever solution they need
you
for their
will.
problem.
You will. You will. And you're going to do so well. You're
Thank
going to do
you.
so well. Let me do a little station identification here, and then I'm going to have you give us some final words of wisdom and encouragement. But I want to let people know who are just chiming into our podcast conversation today. We are talking to Miss Alexis Gilmer. Alexis Gilmer is our guest today, and we are talking about mental health matters for young women, particularly young women, but young adults in general. You can find Miss Alexis at alexisgilmer.com. You can go to her website, become a client of hers, a counseling client or coaching client. She'll be able to help you. And now, Alexis,
Mhm.
um, do you are your clients all young people, or are you find you know?
No, my youngest client is 23 and my oldest is 56. So age does not not matter.
All right, good, good, good. So don't let her age fool you, and don't feel like she can't tell you anything. I learned a lot today, and I appreciate what she brings to the table. So go to her website. You can also go to Facebook and find her there at Alexis Gilmer. You can go to Instagram and find her at Alexis uh, double underscore Alexis Brianna. Brienne. Is it
Mhm.
Brienne?
Yep, Brienne.
Alexis Brienne. And so go there, follow her. She's doing some amazing things in this area of mental health. And I'm looking forward to some more great work coming out. Any plans to do a doctorate?
I don't think so.
Well, we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
talk
You
to me in
just
5
might.
years.
You just might. You just might. But you're doing great as a counselor and a coach. And so I am so godly proud of you. So
Thank
you all go and look Miss Alexis Gilmer up, get her information. Listen, we're if you're not on my YouTube channel, I want you to go there and watch this video, share this video with others. You can find us on YouTube at Dr. Toni G. Alvarado, or you can go to, if you're listening to the podcast, you want to listen while you walk or work, and just have your earbuds in, you can go to Anchor, Apple, Google, and Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Look us up. Just look up the Harmonize Your Life. You can put in that, or you can put in Dr. Toni G. Alvarado, and you'll find us wherever, on your favorite podcast platform or on my YouTube channel. And I really, really, really would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're not already a subscriber, will you please, please, please? I am almost at 500 subscribers, and I'm trying to get there by the end of the year. Are you subscribed? Alexis, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And so,
Yes, ma'am.
and share these conversations, because listen, there are people that need this information, and we have a whole catalog of these conversations on my
Mhm.
YouTube channel that you can, Alexis, you can even refer some of your clients to some of these conversations as you like. And
Mhm.
so please, ma'am, please, sir, if you're not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, go and become a subscriber today. Subscribe to Dr. Toni G. Alvarado on YouTube. And what happens is, when you do that and you engage with the podcast on YouTube, you allow this content to come up more in the analytics. And when people are looking for, and they put in mental health or health and wellness or
Mhm.
self-care or women of color or black women or black men, or because we've had conversations around men's health as well. So all those kind of things, fitness, therapy, anything, counseling, anything related to the topics that we talk about on this podcast, we will come up in the analytics. The more of you all who support this podcast. So please, ma'am, and please, sir, please go and become a subscriber to the podcast. Women, I want you to join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self Care Network. Join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self Care Network. You heard Alexis say it. Support is important. And when we're making changes, we need support, we need encouragement, and we need accountability. And so that's what we provide for you in the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self Care Network. We have a network of women all over this country and even outside of the country who are a part of this network. And we come together monthly in my tea time sessions, tea time with Dr. Toni Alvarado. Some of the guests, like Alexis, sometimes we bring a guest in to tea time with us, or I will facilitate, or maybe one of the other women in the network will facilitate our conversation. And it has been a blessing to the women who attend. And so please come on in this self-care journey with us. And you can go there by going to, you can register or sign up for this, join the network by going to my website at drtonyalvarado.com. drtonyalvarado.com is where you can find the self-care network. On the homepage, there's a link up there, a hotkey that says self-care network. Click that, then click join and sign up, and you're right in. All right. And when you go to my website, I'm rocking today one of my newest items in my fitness apparel. We have fitness apparel on the website. We have teacups there, and we have hoodies, because it's winter time now. We're back in hoodie season, and this year we expanded to not just hoodies, but we also have sweatshirts. So we have fitness motivation sweatshirts, self-care sweatshirts, harmony sweatshirts, as well as hoodies, bling t-shirts. We have workout pants, leggings, dry fit t-shirts that you can work out in, because we believe in helping our community be whole, spirit, soul, and body. And so I do want to let you know that those things are available to you when you go to my website at drtonyalvarado.com. You can shop with us. It's getting ready to be Thanksgiving, and then Black Friday, and then Christmas. So you can get some Christmas gifts right there on my website. Well, Alexis, we're just about done for today with our conversation. Thank you for being such a wonderful dialogue partner with us today.
Thank you for
And I would
having
want you
me.
to give us some closing words, wisdom, admonition, and anything
Mhm.
that you may have going on that you want them to know about. Let us know and then give us some final words.
Yeah, I think I would just say go to my website, sign up to be a coaching client of mine. If anything that you've heard today has resonated with you and you are wanting to make some changes in your life, as Dr. T said, alexisgilmer.com.
Putting it
And
there on the screen
yep,
for those that are there. AlexisGilman.com. Go ahead.
yeah, and just click book now, and you can book a session with me. Other than that, I just want to leave a quick word of encouragement, particularly for the strong women, the strong Black women out there, that getting help is not a sign of weakness, but it is a sign of strength. And so, knowing when you need help, knowing when you can't do it on your own anymore, is a sign of strength because it takes a special person to recognize when they need that extra support. So, pay attention to yourself, listen to your heart, listen to what you need, and find the right place to get that help.
Wow. Knowing when to get help and getting help is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. And knowing when to get help and going and getting help is so important to our health, our wellness, our self care, our mental health, our fitness, whatever it is, and whatever changes we're needing in our life. Thank you so much, Alexis, for being such a wonderful dialogue partner today. All right. Well, we're done for today, you all. We'll see you next week for another intriguing conversation on Harmonize Your Life, Conversations on Self Care for Women of Color podcast with your host, Dr. Toni G. Alvarado. See you soon. Hi, this is Dr. Toni Alvarado. I am so delighted about bringing the Harmonize Your Life podcast to you. Would you do me a favor? If you are enjoying this podcast, would you email me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com? I want to hear from you. I want your feedback. I want to know if there are any other topics that you are interested in as it relates to wellness, self-care, nutrition, or just overall bringing harmony into your life. Email me, contact me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com.